So wanted to help do a quick install video for the Curt 2-inch front receiver hitch. Online on Amazon it says select E-150s through E-350s. I have an E-450 on my Thor Quantum RV, and it's looks like it's going to line up pretty good. And I saw a comment on Amazon saying that you could do the same. So if you go on Amazon and type in this right here, you'll find it. That's the part number 31053. That's the one I'm using for my E-450, and it's going to work pretty well. This is the instructions it comes with, in case you're curious. Might have to zoom in on that. And the third page. Now there's a video I saw, wrote it down. This is what I use to get started on mine. If you type this in on YouTube, how to install Econoline E-Series front hitch receiver, that did a pretty good job. It showed me everything I needed to see. Helps. The other video again was really good. This is just a different perspective in case maybe yours looks more like my setup. All right, with the bumper already off, pretty much what I did was I used a scissor jack, put a piece of plywood on it, then I put the hitch receiver on there. Just kind of helps raise it into position for this part. But again, everything's removed, and now we're kind of getting into the actual install piece of it. Now this is how it looks inside of your frame rails. I already have that one carriage bolt in there. This is the easy one, but it wasn't easy for me, at least. It was on the other side. So it already has the slot that's big enough back there. This one up close, you're going to end up drilling out to get bigger. I'll show you underneath real quick. I had to grind the corners. I'll show you in a second why. Because where it lines up back there, respect to all the video guys doing this stuff with one hand, it sucks. Anyways, that wasn't easy to do at all before I grinded it down, and now it's very straight and lines up flush. And before I did that, the hitch wasn't sliding enough forward. And this is what you want to see. This is the one I just put in, and here is the hole. Hopefully you could see that. That's the hole that we're gonna drill out, and it's perfectly centered, as you can see. I couldn't even see the hole before because this hitch was too far this way, because the I already forgot what it's called, the little device that I was showing you that I grinded down. It was the little locker, that the steel plate, it wasn't allowing me to slide it up that way enough because the little corners were rubbing into the frame of the RV. And I don't know if all the frames have this like second little layer of metal. I've seen some that were smooth. I think the video I was mentioning, it was all like smooth inside. This has like a double layer, and that's what that thing was getting caught on. Here's the other side. This one, for whatever reason, didn't give me that issue. It just lays there flat. Again, it's not tight, it's just kind of in place for me to line everything up. I didn't want to drill holes into the frame without knowing if it was going to work or not. And this one, as you can see also, lines up perfect. As you can see, we're going to have to drill that out because that's where it goes. And that's what you want to see before you get too far into the process, I suppose. So I'm not really going to get into telling you what size sockets to use and all that good stuff. It's like, it's going to already take me longer than I want this to take. So, but between steel drill bits, I'll end up using probably this guy here. I don't know what size it is. I'm going to figure that out. You know, just keep drilling until it's the right size hole. And the bolt goes through. But I'm going to end up using one of these. You could just kind of step it up using regular drill bits if that's what you have, but use steel drill bits. I'm at the point where I'm gonna take off the hitch that was just temporarily hanging there that I just showed you. I'm gonna use these to make that hole bigger, and then we'll go from there. So we're only drilling out the front holes, right? Like, so this one back here, that's the one already slotted. We're good to go. This hole was the size of that, middle one. It came out to be exactly a 1/2 inch bolt. Where's it at? So this, fits in there really. It's good, but I wanted more slack just in case the holes didn't line up perfectly. So we'll see how it fits. But kind of got tired, and I want to give it a test fit, see if I could get lucky and see if those holes line up. If so, then it should be good. Right, so we have the carriage bolts in there. The front one is obviously the one we drilled out. The back one is the one I had to angle grind. You might not have to do that. We're going to line these up in a second. There we go. As you can see, this is why I'm using the scissor jack, because you would either need to like zip tie it up, 2 sets of hands. I'm doing this by myself. So here we go.
it.
Sorry about that if you were staring at the drill for maybe a minute. So that's how it looks with both of them in there. I've got them kind of just hand tight. I needed to wedge it up because the driveway slanted and it wasn't even. Same thing over here, might be hard to see. All right. It's a 19 millimeter. All right, now that I was ready to tighten it up, I was using the drill just to kind of get it snug, but wanted to check if there was torque, and it is. If you look at on the instructions, page 2 of 3, it's saying torque all half-inch fasteners to 110 foot-pounds. So take out the torque wrench and set it to that. And also, I said I didn't need to grind down. This is the carriage bolt spacer thing, whatever you call this. I had to grind the corners on the left side rail system of the RE. So this will be like the passenger side and this will be like the driver side, because mine has that in the rail, like I was showing earlier in the video, the double overlap steel. For whatever reason, this is getting in the way. I noticed that this corner was kind of like, it wasn't sitting flush. It was kind of like, it was kind of doing like crooked like that. The bolt was straight, but it was bothering me that this wasn't flush. So I'm going to test fit it, see if that gets away from that double steel overlap thing I was talking about, and put that back on. The hitch still has the other 3 bolts. I just took this one out. This was the back left, so the passenger side furthest in, like furthest towards the bumper on the passenger side. And again, I came back over here just to check the torque setting of 110 for the half-inch fastener. So yeah. So here's my Tecton torque wrench. I had it stored at 40, so I don't know if that's a problem. So right now it's at 0. I'm going to dial this up to 110. All right, there's 110. Now I'll go torque down all those fasteners. So at this point, it's on. We went over how to get it into those frame rails. It's in there, nice and tight, 110 foot-pounds. I guess that's the hard part. Now it's just putting everything back together. So this is where the video is a little different. I think on the other guy, he had his air scoop. he had some trim that I guess mine didn't have. Had to cut some stuff off. I'm not going to do that on mine. So here's the bolt holes right there. That's going to go underneath. I'll show you where those bolt holes are in a second, but basically those two little bolts are the only things that was holding that up. And then of course the clips in the front. 2 more bolts will go in here, but that's after we put on the bumper. So I'm doing this in reverse again. So before you put the bumper on, there's this air scoop, which was the last thing I took off. So it's going to be the first thing I put back on. So let me show you those bolts. All right, here's the little tiny bolts that hold it on. It's just a bolt with a washer. There was no nut. It just goes into something that was pre-threaded, and then we'll go under and get it on. All right, so we're gonna go under. So some reference. If you're a little forgetful, it helps to write some notes like I did. So again, here's the hitch. So where the hitch connected, so just to the right or just to the side of those, it should look something like this. At least it does on mine. And mine has like this little flange, and I labeled it as you take it off. I just wrote it in Sharpie so I remember where, it's pretty obvious. It's, if you look at it closely enough, it's threaded. It's a threaded hole in there. This is not threaded, so it's pretty, there's not that many holes around here. But again, a lot going on. Write yourself a note, do what I did, just remember. But I'm not going to show putting this back up. These are the holes that we're going to bolt that air scoop into that I just showed. So that's the next step. All right, when putting this in, I think the other guy was able to just get his in without trimming it, but on mine, as you can see, there's the hole, and then I was just on the underside. This hole needs to get to right there, like I was just showing. And then, as you can see, it's not cooperating because the hitch is in the way, of course, now. So this wants to come up, or needs to come up. Basically, that hole needs to go flush with like the top of the white, and this is in the way. So this is where you just have to kind of trace it out, cut the pieces of plastic that are getting in the way of the hitch, and then make it fit. You could also zip tie stuff around the hitch, I'm sure, and to get it up snug, but I'll show you how mine came out when I'm done. So I got it to the point where I trimmed out, you could kind of see this like notch here in the plastic on both sides. I didn't go exact, just now it's flush, but you could tell where it's off because we still need to get the hole to here, and right now it's there. So this hitch is in the way. I don't see anything else I could do other than drawing a line. Basically just using the hitch on the inside as my trace. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty, you're not going to see this, but I was trying to save as much as I can, but we need to be able to have this rise up high enough. And again, I'm just using some shears. These are the pieces I cut off already, about to cut off a lot more. After that, basically, this entire area is going to come off. So, we won't really need this, but this was clipped onto the bumper. That was a clip. So those bolts I was talking about, we're not going to need those anymore. So what I'll probably end up doing is drilling a hole somewhere on the inside and zip tying zip tying around the hitch to keep it up. I'll probably do, you know, 3 on each side just to make it nice and sturdy. And then at least there'll still be somewhat of an air scoop, but this is in the way, has to get up. That's all I'm gonna do for right now. I'll show you when it's done. All right, here for the air scoop again. This was the first thing I had to cut out, and then that was the sides of the hitch right at the end, just to get an idea of where it was all going to fit. And then eventually I'm going to put this off and then this off, so kind of left with a small air scoop. And then just to give you an idea, see if I can do this one-handed. Not sure I can. I'm going to put it down probably real quick. It's going to look something like that. So that lines up right there. Just going to press that up, and then looks loose because I can't hold it all with my one hand. And then right here along the edges, I'll probably just, it's resting on top, I'll zip tie it to the hitch and it'll be good. All right, there's the air scoop. It's in. I'll zip tie that around the frame. Not going to show that part, but if you go underneath, you can kind of see it's resting on the lip. It's on top, so it won't droop. And then let's see if I can get this to show. That's the bolt. Sun's in my eyes, so it's really hard to see. This is what we just put in. Remember, label the holes so you remember where it goes. But that's it. And that's the only thing holding up my air scoop. Even before I trimmed it, that's really the only thing that was holding it up. Now I'll zip tie it to the hitch. Okay, that's how the air scoop ended up coming out with the zip ties. Time to put the bumper on. So on these frame rails, there's going to be bolts from the bumper, one on here and here. So it's the upper middles and the bottom lower. So upper middle, bottom lower, upper middle, bottom lower. And these are the bolts that are going to go. We'll use the bottom lower as an example. Bolt's going to go through. This goes on that back side, like that. And oops. And these are the bolts, right? So that's the upper, middle, you know, bottom, lower is what I'm calling it. They're diagonals. Same on that side. So there's 4. You're gonna slip them in. Bumper's a little heavy. I'm gonna try to do it by myself. Taking it out, the outers are easy, right? So this is the second step of taking things off, right? The outer one, nothing's in the way. When this is on, just sticking your hand through, you know, this opening will let you take this guy out from the back. You have to use your largest wrench, probably. Turn it as hard as you can. You're on there pretty tight. I'm not sure what the torque is, just really tight. Right, here we go. So this is how it came out when it was all done. I left the license plate in the same exact spot in the middle. The hitch is just underneath it. And as you could see, I had to do a lot of trimming. Here's the hitch and the license plate cover on the bottom, just because it just kept bumping into stuff. So I just trimmed it until it didn't hit anything. My license plate bows out slightly. I attached it with these wires, and then it has little clips on the top. But There it is. Also, when you're putting the bumper back on, just so you could see on the inside of this opening, you could tell which ones it's going to be by that diagonal little support thing. It's going to be right here on the backside of that, and then shadow, but on the backside of that. Same on this side. Let's see if we can get in here. It's gonna be on the back side of this. There's a nut, and then on the back side of the bottom. Those were the areas I was showing earlier. So that's where the nuts are. That's all that's holding up the bumper. And again, I didn't see a torque setting or anything. Just do it as tight as you can. Again, the lower outers you could just access, you know, from the bottom. Go in there on the opposite side and you'll find it. From right here on this one, you just got to do it from inside this opening. Get your wrench and start going. And then after that, if I ever need to use it, which is for straight line pulls in case I get stuck in the sand, I'm not using this for cargo. I'll just take off my license plate. It's take me 1 minute by unraveling this little wire. I have them both, and then the license plate slips down, and then my hitch is like right here with plenty of space. Just the license plate is in the way, so that's fine because I plan on never using it. This is just for emergency pull out in case I get a little drag if I'm in the sand and I need some quick assistance. The last step was, which is the first thing you would take off, are these is a part of the, you know, the taking off the bumper. The air scoop is attached, or the bumper and the air scoop is attached, like this plastic trim. There's a clip on both sides, and then there was little areas where these nut was holding it on both sides. So on each side you have a little quick connect clip, and then a nut, and then like a quick connect clip and a nut. You would be able to see it really easily by just climbing under, and that's where your air scoop was kind of attached to the bumper. That was the very first step of disconnecting things, and the other guy's video that I mentioned at the very beginning of this video shows that pretty good. So that's it.